Dark Myth WuKong, Chapter 17. The Final Battle. The Jade Emperor released his supreme 9-dragon chi, and the 8 purple-gold divine dragons injured Sun WuKong in their very first exchange. That injury not only didn't make Sun WuKong retreat, but instead ignited his bloodlust. Thus Sun WuKong's evil-natured form, the heaven-supporting Titan ape, appeared. Saying this, the Jade Emperor's pupils contracted, and he thought to himself, I didn't expect that this monkey not only severed his evil nature, but could also manifest a clone. This evil-natured clone's strength is not at all inferior to Sun WuKong's original body, and even stronger by 3 points due to the release of his inner savagery. This made the Jade Emperor, who was initially confident of victory, feel a chill in his heart. Meanwhile, Zhu Baiyi's side was also locked in a fierce battle, even more tragic than the fight between Sun WuKong and the Jade Emperor. Although Zhu Baiyi's strength was comparable to the Ziwei Emperor's, his newfound power made his movements occasionally sluggish. This slight sluggishness caused Zhu Baiyi immense suffering. What kind of character was the Ziwei Emperor? His combat experience was extremely rich. So, from the moment the battle began, he noticed that Zhu Baiyi's movements were sometimes slightly disjointed, and he relentlessly targeted this disjointedness. The Ziwei Emperor's hands shone with starlight, and with a wave, endless starlight manifested into various weapons, attacking Zhu Baiyi relentlessly. In a short time, Zhu Baiyi was covered in wounds. Although the wounds weren't serious, over time, the accumulation would become fatal injuries. Helplessly, Zhu Baiyi could only trade injuries for injuries. He abandoned all defense and swung his 9-toothed rake, attacking desperately. And surprisingly, although he was injured even more, under Zhu Baiyi's desperate and fierce attacks, the Ziwei Emperor was careless, and was struck twice by the rake. This immediately terrified the Ziwei Emperor. This was the 9-toothed rake, after all. Back then, to deal with Sun WuKong, the Supreme Lord Lao Tzu personally forged it with divine ice iron, borrowing the power of the 5 directions, 5 emperors, and the 6 dings, 6 jayas. It weighed 1 zhang of weight, which was exactly 5,048 jinde. Its full name was the Upper Treasure Golden Penetrating Rake. This rake had an extremely powerful attribute. It could rake away the soul and essence. Even Sun WuKong didn't dare to be raked by this rake too many times. And those ordinary golden immortals, with just a few rakes, could be reduced from a great, luo golden immortal to a nameless ghost in the underworld. One could imagine that if the Ziwei Emperor was hit by the rake a few more times, he would be completely finished. Even the gods and ghosts couldn't save him. Therefore, the Ziwei Emperor could only engage in hit-and-run tactics with Zhu Baiyi. Without absolute certainty, he didn't dare to get close. Finally, let's take a look at the battle in the outer heavens between Sha Wujing and Emperor Gaoshan. Emperor Gaoshan, whose full name was Emperor Gaoshan of the Upper Palace of Heaven, was the supreme ruler of all thunder in the heavenly realm. His mastery of thunder-based Tao techniques was superb. Countless thunderbolts raged throughout the outer heavens, and every time Emperor Gaoshan waved his hand, a powerful and fierce divine thunderbolt would strike. And in this ocean of thunder, the most conspicuous thing was a large river in the very center of the thunder. Yes, it was a large river. This river, its water as black as ink, flowed ceaselessly. But strangely, there wasn't a single ripple on the surface of the river. Only the almost distorted space around the river could reveal the terrifying speed at which this river flowed. Looking in the direction of the river's flow at the end of the river was an extremely large skull. The skull was like flawless white jade, its mouth wide open, swallowing the flowing river water. Looking at the other end, there was also a similarly large skull, except that this skull was spewing out a large amount of river water. This created a strange scene. Emperor Gaoshan, hid in a light shield made of all kinds of divine thunderbolts, constantly waving his hand to command the thunder to bombard that large river. and Shavujing hid within the river, constantly waving his hand to shoot out countless water arrows. When the thunder struck the river, it was as if it had struck a mirror, and then the power of the thunder would be dissipated by the flowing river water, and then it would adhere to the surface of the foul river and flow into the skull. The river water, which should have conducted electricity, at this moment seemed to be the nemesis of thunder. However, the water arrows and water dragons shot out from the river would also be consumed by the thunder during their flight. Even if they hit the light shield, they wouldn't cause much damage. In this way, the two sides were locked in a stalemate due to mutual fear. However, Shavujing's purpose was to kill, not to play a shooting game with Emperor Gushin. The next moment, a hint of determination and resolution appeared in Shavujing's eyes. Just like that, Sun Wukong and his three brothers fought fiercely against the three celestial emperors, while the Bull Demon King and the others joined forces to help Neja and the others deal with ill. The Evergreen Emperor. Fortunately, the Evergreen Emperor was skilled in defensive techniques, so he was able to hold on. At this moment, everyone had only one thought in mind. Whoever on their side could defeat their opponent the fastest could then come to help. Only then could the balance of victory tip in their favor. Time, under these circumstances, slowly flowed by. Finally, just as the Bull Demon King and the others were becoming impatient, a stream of light flew closer from the horizon. Instantly, everyone's hearts were stirred. Soon, this stream of light stopped in the center of the two forces, and as the light dispersed, a burst of shouts erupted. It turned out that this figure was none other than Sun Wukong. At this moment, Sun Wukong's battle armor was almost completely shattered. His whole body was stained with blood, and countless large and small wounds covered him, and a trickle of fresh blood still flowed from his forehead. However, none of this was as terrible as the state of the Jade Emperor, because the Jade Emperor was being dragged on the ground by Sun Wukong, who was holding him by the collar. Judging from the Jade Emperor's posture, he was obviously unconscious and barely alive. At this moment, Sun Wukong's expression was resolute, his aura domineering, and the blood all over his body not only didn't make him look disheveled, but instead added to his unparalleled wildness. "Monkey, you actually defeated the Jade Emperor? Are you all right?" Sun Wukong glanced down at the Jade Emperor and said calmly, "I used the power of the victorious fighting Buddha body, which sacrificed my good nature, and the heaven-supporting Titan ape body, which was my evil nature. Only then could I defeat the Jade Emperor." When the Bull Demon King and the others saw Sun Wukong, their hearts were filled with joy. But the Evergreen Emperor was completely hopeless. Although Sun Wukong might not have much fighting power left at this moment, the presence he exuded was a kind of threat and a kind of awe. If the situation continued like this, the Evergreen Emperor even had the thought of giving up resistance. Looking at Sun Wukong's godlike and domineering presence, he felt as if he saw an insurmountable chasm stretching across his heart. He knew that the Heavenly Court's defeat was only a matter of time, and his only worry was, after this battle, what would be left of the Heavenly Court? Or rather, would there still be a Heavenly Court? Demon Clan Army, listen to my orders, launch a full-scale attack. The Supreme Jade Emperor of the Heavenly Court has been captured by me. Whether or not the Heavenly Court belongs to the Demon Clan depends on you. A roar that resonated through the three realms seemed to ignite the final frenzy of the Demon Clan army. All the Demon Clan soldiers, fearless of death, launched their final all-out offensive. In everyone's hearts, there was only one thought. If Marshal Sun Wukong can capture even the Jade Emperor, how can we, the soldiers under his command, be stopped by these mere heavenly soldiers? And so, the already disadvantaged heavenly soldiers became even more unable to resist. Under the Demon Clan army's frenzied attack, the heavenly soldiers were quickly pushed back to the vicinity of the Celestial Palace. and their numbers also plummeted from the initial hundreds of millions to less than 200,000. This loss was undoubtedly huge. Throughout the heavenly court's 36 palaces and 72 halls, except for the final celestial palace, everywhere else was covered in blood, with countless severed limbs. This included not only the corpses of 800,000 heavenly soldiers, but also the corpses of nearly 200,000 demon clan soldiers. Although the demon clan had almost absolute dominance, the tenacious resistance of the heavenly soldiers still caused the demon clan to lose nearly 200,000. This was the embodiment of the saying, "In war, no one is spared." When the Bull Demon King and the others captured the Evergreen Emperor, the demon clan army had completed the control of the heavenly court's soldiers. At this point, the great war between the demon clan and the heavenly court finally ended, and the victor, undoubtedly, was the demon clan alliance. And all the demon leaders who participated in the war would be recorded in the demon clan's history books. They would become the great demons revered by the demon clan for all eternity. Although the heavenly court still had two celestial emperors fighting fiercely with Zhubaji and Sha Wujing, this was no longer important. Under the absolute advantage in numbers, individual martial prowess was reduced to its lowest value. Bull, you guys handle the aftermath. Remember, don't kill the surrendered heavenly soldiers. I'll go check on Beiji and Lao Xia. They haven't returned for so long, I'm worried. Before the Bull Demon King could respond, Sun Wukong's expression suddenly tightened, and he turned to look at the western sky. The right hand holding the golden hooped rod bulged with veins. He seemed to have seen someone or something that he hated to the bone. The Bull Demon King and the others also noticed Sun Wukong's strangeness, but besides the clouds in the sky, they saw nothing. "Monkey, what are you looking at? Shut up. Everyone, be on guard. Notify the army. Immediately enter battle mode. Abandon the prisoners and prepare for battle. Quickly, quickly." Just as the Bull Demon King and the others were still in a daze, an extremely dignified and resounding voice came. "Great sage son, no need. It's too late." Before the words were finished, the figure had arrived. Seeing who appeared, everyone was stunned. And in an instant, they understood why Sun Wukong had told everyone to prepare for battle. Because the person who came was the Buddha ancestor of the Western Heaven, Shakyamuni Tathagata Buddha. And behind Tathagata Buddha were many famous Buddhas of the Western Heaven. Dipankara Buddha, Maitreya Buddha, Amitabha Buddha, and Besadya Guru Buddha Datta. Behind the four Buddhas were numerous bodhisattvas and arhats. Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva, Mahastama Prapta Bodhisattva, Surya Prabha Bodhisattva, Kandra Prabha Bodhisattva, the Wutai Mountains, Vairapani Bodhisattva, with his vast divine powers, the Ime Mountains Vajrapani Bodhisattva, with his boundless power, the Sumeru Mountains Vajrapani Bodhisattva, and the Kunlun Mountains Vajrapani Bodhisattva, and so on. And behind these people were countless Buddhist soldiers. A rough estimate put their number at least 3 million. And when those Buddhist soldiers arrived, they quickly surrounded all the demon clan soldiers. The demon clan army initially had 800,000, and nearly 200,000 were lost in the great battle. And now, only about 600,000 demon clan soldiers remained. However, 600,000 was an exhausted force. At most, they could only exert the fighting power of 300,000 people. 300,000 facing 3 million. All the demons knew that it seemed there was only one path left: annihilation. After the Buddhist soldiers completed the encirclement, Tathagata Buddha, seated on the 9-treasured lotus throne, floated in front of Sun Wukong. He said to Sun Wukong, with a smile that wasn't quite a smile, "Great sage equaling heaven. Sun Wukong, you're quite impressive. You even beat the Jade Emperor like a dog. It seems I underestimated you before. Weren't you just going to find your two junior brothers? Haha, no need to go. Men, bring up Shubai. Said the Disianoa, I send it kaon sha mentasin, beim ten Shubai. With that, several Buddhist soldiers behind him dragged a rope forward, and the other end of the rope was tied to Jubaji. However, at this moment, Jubai's limbs were severed, and he was no different from a dead person. Looking at Sun Wukong's face, twisted with extreme anger, Tathagata Buddha continued. Unfortunately, we didn't capture your junior brother Sha. Just as Sun Wukong breathed a sigh of relief, Tathagata Buddha continued. Because he perished together with the Jade Emperor. Moreover, his bones are gone. Tathagata, you old bastard, you deserve to die. Because of extreme anger, countless fresh blood burst out again from Sun Wukong's wounds. He raised the golden-hooped rod and pointed it at Tathagata Buddha, supporting his chest with the other hand. Sun Wukong roared softly. Oh, right, your flower fruit mountain is also gone. But what surprised me was that your master, Tang Sanzang, was actually at Flower Fruit Mountain. So, I conveniently imprisoned him as well. It's a pity about your Flower Fruit Mountain. At this moment, it's probably just a pile of ashes. Pftun, bin. A mouthful of blood spewed out. Sun Wukong's face was as pale as paper.